My name is Tanya Lewis, so I'm just going to read this dream to you. I was seeing a white man with blonde hair, in his car driving erratically down.
Are you single or married?
I'm single.
Okay.
In his car driving erratically down a road. He was swerving wildly and passing cars. He was sleepy and kept falling asleep while driving. He had multiple near crashes while driving to reach his destination. I knew that God was protecting him, and he arrived safely to where he was going. He arrived, and I went from observing him to participating in the dream. There was a woman holding a baby, and the man came to where I was standing and stood there while the baby was being handed to me. The baby was awake and wrapped in a blanket.
We're called to intercede for the blonde guy who's reckless. You know, he's not making great decisions in whatever he's doing, and he's got a lot of near misses. Who was the woman that showed up?
Didn't know who it was.
Was it her baby? Where'd the baby come from?
It was like we were in a building, like almost like a hospital-looking building, and she, in my thinking when I saw it in the dream, she looked like she might have been a nurse, and she was just like I was standing there, and he came, and I was standing there, and then the baby was handed to me, and he was standing with me, not like really close, but just like next to me when the baby was handed.
You like?
Yeah.
I like that fast response.
There could be, a man in your future, but he's in a big preparation process right now, and he's not making good decisions, because you don't want to find somebody in a hospital situation, which means you need patience. One, you're going to need patience, and it can be that there'll be a new thing between the two of you, but you saw how he runs his life. And do you want to be on that wild ride? Or do you want to give him time for God to fix him? So I would say just keep praying. And even if the white, blonde, blue-eyed guy comes along, go, okay, God, is he ready? Before you get into anything serious with him, I would say just be friends for a while until God can work him over. Because cars represent your personality, your ministry, your life, your business decisions. He's got an awful lot of near misses, which means he's not real stable at this point. And, they can give you a baby, which now the two of you, you're going to be working with a not stable person. And you don't really want that for something new and fresh. So I would just keep interceding and praying for him so that he can take off that old man, put on the new man, slow down and make good decisions and fly straight, because he's all over the place right now. So God could show you, I heard your prayer, I know your desire, you want this good looking white guy. God puts desires in your heart. He puts desires in your heart, and he doesn't want you to get weary in the waiting, but he also wants you to know where this man is in the process. So he's not ready yet, but God's working on him. And a good place for somebody that God's working on is to be in a hospital. Because then God can attend to the traumas of the past, the brokenness, the bad decision making, and he can help do that. Because nurses nurse you back to health. And she's going, you two will make a great couple. Here's your new baby that the two of you are going to take care of and raise as a family. And so when he's there in that resting and relaxing rehabilitation process, that means God's delivered him of all that crazy, wild, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go there, I'm going to, finances, whatever it is, that car, near misses of destruction or relationships in the past, God says, I'll fix it. So keep praying. And, it could be that God's saying it's almost here because they're handing you the baby and the two of you are together. So, yeah.
One is that I'm gonna share a dream.
Can y'all hear her?
You want me?
Hug the mic.
You might have to, yeah.
We'll just share
I'm gonna read this because I wrote it on the 24th. I had this dream the night before the 23rd. And I wrote it as super fast because I want to capture everything that I remember that morning. So I don't know if there is making a lot of sense. But it says, I was at a place it was full of poverty. I did not know where I was. I was walking in mud. It was like walking in a trail. On each side, there were people, young people and adults. I asked God where I was. He did not tell me. He just wanted me to continue walking. I noticed and I started looking more to the details where I was. And I'm sorry. And I was able to see among the people that there were skeletons. I saw a mom on a floor, kind of like in front of her house or on a porch, but then on her lap, laying his head, was a skeleton, but it was her son. I knew it was a son. She was reading to him and she was smiling and loving him, and the skeleton was looking at her. And then that impressed me, so I started looking around, and then I saw more people walking, and then I saw skeletons among them, but people were walking like it was a normal thing for them to be there. I described the place again. It was not even daytime. It was not a lot of light, but it was not dark like it was night. It was kind of like orangey brown, kind of looking around. There were, when I looked at the places where they were living, it was not houses. It was more like pieces of materials, kind of like putting together like walls, like fences or pieces of wood, old stuff. Again, they did not have floor, it was just mud. There were some kids running bicycles, and then there were skeletons smiling at them, and the kids that they were riding the bicycles, they were smiling back at them, kind of like a joyful, playful. Then it was about 3 o'clock that dream. I woke up, went back to sleep, and about 6 o'clock is when I asked God again where I am. I want to know where I am, and He says Dominican Republic. Then I woke up really quick, and then I wrote this. It happens to me before that I dream with skeletons. In the past years ago, before I was walking with God, it was like in stages, different dreams. One was that I was digging, again in a brown, kind of orangey place, mud, and dig. Then years after, I dream again, and I dig deeper. It like the dream stopped and I continue it. And then years ago, I actually, when I am now with God, walking with God in the world of Christ, He showed me that what I was digging in, I found skeletons, bones in there. A couple years ago, I dreamed again. I was at a beach and I was looking at the area, and in the water, I saw coming out the water bones, but as they were getting closer to the coast, they were forming together and they formed a whole skeleton. So the bones were kind of like putting together and they started walking towards me. I did not feel scared. I just looked at them, and then it kind of like made me feel happy that was happening. I'm just trying to understand, and my second question goes with that too, is trying to understand myself. Is I don't see things like other people they see in their natural world, but in my dreams I always see things like it is. I don't see myself, but I know it's me, and I feel it like I know it's me. So I just want to understand a little bit more about the skeletons and these dreams, and also about if what I'm seeing in my dreams is the vision, or I'm trying to understand that part of what God is
see
giving me.
dead people. It reminds me of Ezekiel. Okay, God drops Ezekiel in a valley of dry bones, and He says, "Can these bones live?" And then He says, "You know, Lord." So if we don't ever think that we know, you know, Lord, and then God says, prophesy as I command. A sound is released and the bones begin to come together. A bone represents structure, but it's not living and it can't move the body unless the muscles and tendons and sinew and flesh and breath is blown into it. So you're seeing a place of poverty. Would you say Costa Rica? Dominican Republic. In the Dominican Republic, I'm assuming that's where you came from. No.
I don't even know nobody.
Nobody there. Okay, so in your background, in your culture, in your roots, in your inheritance, you have no association. Where are you from?
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico, baby.
Hey! So Dominican Republic, and I would say Spanish cultures.
Yeah.
I would put it all into one basket, even though they're all different speaking countries. South America, I would put Spanish, okay? So in that culture, you're seeing poverty. If you're walking in mud, you get stuck in mud.
Yeah.
It's hard to get out of mud. And even if you get out of mud, you still have the mud stuck on your shoes. So it's like this quicksand. The more water you mix with the mud, the further it sticks you. And so a lot of times people get stuck in a culture where they're not able to get out to prosper, and it sucks the life out of them. So there's no flesh, bone, muscle, and they become like a skeleton. They still have a structure which could give them the ability for someone to prophesy life to them. And then, because that's what God told Ezekiel, prophesy life to the bones. If you prophesy, they come out of that culture, they come out of that structure. They're still Spanish, they still have the good parts of it. You take the good and you throw out the bad. So every culture, whether it's African American, whether it's white, whether it's Chinese, every culture has our positives and we have our negatives. And so the negatives parts of our cultures hold us captive. And the two things it wants to do is make you poor and infirm. So wherever there's poverty, there's infirmity. And so it will keep you out of destiny. And so, the mama is loving her little baby, but she's also holding him captive. He's loving and smiling at her because that's all he knows. She's got this little skeleton on her lap, but where's that skeleton going to go? Nowhere, because he has no muscles to move. He's going to live the rest of his life stuck on mama's lap, and she's going to control every decision that he makes. She's going to tell him who he can marry, what job he's going to take, where he's going to live. And when mama needs him, she's going to talk to the skeleton, and the skeleton's going to smile and say, okay. And there's no life for the skeleton. Even the children riding the bicycles. Some had flesh and they were able to move, but the bone skeletons wanted to be like the flesh ones too, but they were happy where they were. They were smiling. And they didn't know there's something different. You can be whole. You can receive a prophetic word, little skeleton. You can get muscles, you can get sinew, you can get flesh, and you can get filled with the Spirit because there's a destiny for you. So the little skeletons need to be prophesied over. So that their destinies, joints, everything, sinew comes together, and they arise as a mighty army. So the Spanish communities, Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, any of the Spanish cultures, is an army waiting to happen. So it's waiting to happen, but they need a prophetic voice to come in there because a lot of them are into Catholicism, which limits the power. And God says if you are in a culture that is religious, yet denies the power thereof, you're just a sounding brass and a tinkling cymbal, because real love will set a captive free and not hold them captive to tradition, because it's the tradition of man or woman that nullifies the power of God.
Come on.
But a lot of times we won't go against the mama, even though we're a skeleton. She's already sucked all the life out of us. But we're stuck there on her lap, where she's pouring into us, singing to us, feeding us, doing everything for us, because that mama has to do everything for the skeleton. It can't move. You've got to clean it, you've got to cook for it, you've got to carry it, you've got to do everything for the skeleton, and the skeleton thinks that's love. Where it's not, that's captivity. That is captivity, because you are totally dependent upon what mama does for you. If she doesn't do it, it's not happening. So I think it's an intercession dream.
Yes.
You came out of digging up old bones, stuck in the mud. God said, I'm setting you free so you can go back and set the captives free. And so once you come out of limitation, out of poverty, and you see, hey, life is great. The whole world is my oyster. And I can decree a thing and prophesy a thing, and I can get flesh on my body, and I can breathe the Spirit, and I can move with freedom, and I don't have to have somebody telling me what I can and cannot do. I'm born again, and I'm under the God's control. So you have to come out of control and out of being dominated in a culture that will not release freedom. So you don't want to be dominated. God told us in the Genesis, you dominate, you take dominion, you rule, you reign. And you can't do that as a skeleton. You've got to be a mighty warrior. You've got to be in armor. You have to be able to stand up. So Ezekiel prophesied to the bones. That's what you're called to do. Prophesy to those bones. So they come out of being dominated into freedom and liberty. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom and liberty. Amen. Good dream.
I'm Kim.
Hi, Kim.
And I have a lot of dreams about end times and also time specifically. So I've seen someone age before my eyes, and I've seen like a timeline of past, present, and future. And I just really didn't know what to do with that information. Like, is it to reaffirm maybe being an Instacart prophet, or do I share it, or what do I do with it?
I just wrote a book called When Will My Dreams Come True? Time, Seasons, and Dream Interpreting Nuggets. So timing is one of the difficult things in the realm of the Spirit, because once you have a vision, whether it's future or past, it's reality for you, and your mind will record that as a memory. So it's an already happened event for you, which brings it into what the world calls deja vu, already happened event, or what God calls a sealed dream. So I believe that instead of a time being linear, I believe time cycles. Because if you go through cycle seasons, they all keep repeating. Otherwise, they would be one long line. So I see time a little bit different than others, and God just will break into a segment of that cycle and say, prophesy to this, look at that, because it's all written in the book of life in heaven. So asking God, are you speaking to me about that person's past, present, or future, or your past, present, and future? Because if you've seen the future, then you can get there quicker. When God says, this is who you are, focus on that. Because when you see the future, you can bring that future into your now. And that means you're going to accomplish a lot more in your life. But if you wait until you grow up to and get to that in a casual manner, it takes a lot more time and things are delayed. So if He opens your eyes to see, take it.
Actually, I was going to say I have a lot of sealed dreams too, so I was wondering if it was related to that.
Yeah, it's related to that. Because seeing something makes it a reality. And then when does that reality manifest is dependent upon us coming into agreement with what God says and who we are. The minute agreement comes, now the two are walking together. So the preceding word came, He spoke, and He kept moving. So He's off there in the future. When you come into agreement, you're launched into the future to catch up with Him. Now the two are equally yoked. So you're equally yoked with Him now because you said, yes, I'm coming out of the past, I know my now is great, but I want to be my future me. That's where he is. He said, I go before you to prepare a place for you, that where I am, you may be there also. John 14. So God has prepared a place for us in the future in the Father's house where there are many mansions. So you have to take on that future identity and bring it into your now, an agreement, then you launch. Catch up with the equal yoked preceding word, and the two on earth touching and agreeing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Denise.
Hi, Denise. Let me get it.
All right, so I had a dream that I was with a group of people. At first, I was with someone else that was driving, and then he said, "Let's go this way because it's the fastest." Then we went to this building where we were supposed to go up. Then, no, they went first, and then I said, "How am I supposed to go up if I don't know where to go?" Then I left my stuff by the elevator. Then I came back thinking, better not leave it there because someone else can take it. Then a group of people showed up, and one of the girls had a baby. And I went to play with the baby. The baby had a lot of hair. It was like curly and thick. So I went to play with the hair, and then she started, to giggle. So, oh, she likes it. That's it.
So the group of people went up first.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, I always think of elevators as promotion, going up. And you were asking, how do I go up? How do I get promoted? And so we always do the foundational things first. And so God will allow you to see others go up first. And a lot of times we can learn from them. How did they ascend? How did they get up? So you either have to be mentored by those that have gone before you to go up. And I'm glad that you went back and picked up your stuff. So you don't want to lay down your gifts, your talents, your abilities, because somebody can take those and then apprehend them or use you to promote themselves. And so you were smart enough to pick your stuff back up and keep it for yourself. And then the new thing came. When you talk about that baby with curly, thick hair, I look at your beautiful curly, thick hair. I'm thinking, oh, I wonder who that could be or what that is. That's probably your new thing that God's giving you and placing in your hand. So now you have this beautiful baby. God says, I trust you with it. You're going to nurture it. You're going to grow it. You're going to be promoted. And you use all your gifts, talents, and abilities. And so into the new thing. So not so much a natural flesh baby, but the thing that's in your heart has been birthed and it's been placed in your hands. So now is the season for you to take that and grow it up.
Mary?
Hi, Mary.
It wasn't a dream, it happened in real life, and it has to do with glass bottles. And the first one, it was in front of the door. All three churches are prophetic, neither one is my home church. And I was standing in the outside the front door, and they just busted and broke. Yeah, it's like you know how people carry coffee cups, but instead of being paper or metal, I like to carry glass. And then, so it was a bottle I use often.
Was it your bottle?
My bottle, yes.
Your bottle broke.
Yes. And then the second time, I go to somewhere else with Denise that she invited me. And inside the church, it breaks. And then the third time, we go somewhere else, and my glass bottle, my third one, this one was the most expensive, the prettiest one. It was a gift from my mother-in-law. I had just got it, and I was excited because the other two already broke. And it went missing, either lost or somebody stole it. And they had a lost and found, and I went there and they had all the ugly ones, but mine was gone. And the lady said, I don't know, maybe why would you throw mine away when all the other ones are sitting on the table?
Yeah, I threw the pretty one away. Yeah, sure you did. Yeah, I think of containers, and when we talk about the lady who broke the alabaster box, very costly perfume, poured it out. It had to be a breaking. 3 different churches. The first one you couldn't even get in the door. So the bottle broke on the outside. The second one, you got in,
And then it broke on the outside at
Yeah.
the end of service.
yeah.
The outside door.
So and then the other one, you go in and it breaks inside. The other one, you have the most beautiful, valuable thing given to you from your family, and someone steals it. And it's lost. So you have a lot to offer, but you gotta find the place that's going to cherish the gift. Because we are like the vessel poured out.
Come on.
And so they're not allowing you to keep what you have and pour it out. They're shattering you. They're hurting you. They're breaking you. They're stealing things from you. And so, not nice churches. Not nice. You have to go, okay, God, you've given me this to steward, and I'm trying to steward it well, and you've given me a vessel of beauty that others will want, but yet they're not honoring the gift. They're stealing and trying to use it, and now they're lying. So you have to find the movement of where do I fit? Where do I belong? Yeah. Because those three experiences were bad. And so you're done with bad. Let's step into the good. Amen. There you go. Yeah, awesome.
My name is Eva, and I have it's for RCT member, but she's not here. She said, I was asleep in a white bed. It was almost like a studio apartment, and the wife of the leader of my church woke me up. It was as if I had to be somewhere, and the time in the dream was noonish. Her question is, what does it represent? But she says, when she woke me up, I was shocked, frazzled, and when I looked at the time that it was noon, I knew I was late. Almost like I had something to do with her, and I didn't make it on the scheduled time. She said, I can't use you now, but tomorrow, blah, 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 blah. I can't recall the rest. She said, whatever was scheduled for that day just got pushed back to the next. But there was a sense of urgency, a sense of where were you? I'm not close to this woman at all. She barely talks to me. So seeing her in my dream, I know it means something.
So leaders, we have to be ready instant, in season and out of season. So leaders watch their congregation, and they're seeing how you're developing and what you're doing. Are you disciplined? Are you on time? Do you come in the middle of the worship service? Do you leave before it's over? Do you volunteer to help clean up? Are you willing to scrub a toilet? I mean, leaders watch everything because they're looking for someone they can depend on, build a relationship with, trust. And so this person's asleep, and they're also sleeping long. You don't sleep till the crack of noon. Crack of dawn, okay. Crack of noon, not so good. And the leader came to her and said, I had counted on you. I gave you this responsibility, and look at you, you're asleep. Now I can't use you. So then she says, but I'm going to have grace on you. Tomorrow's a new day, and it starts at 6 in the morning, or like ours, 7:30 for breakfast. Get up, get showered, get dressed, be at breakfast at 7:30, because we have prayer and dream interpretation and question and answer session. You need to be there. And where is she? She's sending you with the message.
Yeah.
Where is she?
Well, she's in Virginia.
She's in Virginia. But I'm just saying, if she's part of this, where is she?
Yeah.
Because, you'll be where you need to be if you think it's necessary.
Yes. Amen.
The leader tried to wake her, she's sleeping, now she's like, oh, I'm behind. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Wake up. Get with it. because things are
Yes.
passing you by as you slumber on your bed.
Come on.
So she needs to get awake, get on action, make decisions, be serious, be diligent, because promotion will pass you by. There are lots of people that want position, and you can't sleep your life away. If you're depressed, or you're sleeping half the day and you're depressed, then go get help. Get out of the depression. Yeah. You might not want to tell her that. She probably won't be happy. Just so you forgot to share.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth. My first question is, can I have that bell?
It looks like you
I actually have two questions, sort of. One is kind of piggybacking off of Evelise, what she shared, because I wrote down a question was, could certain people groups have angels that have been captured over them?
Yes, that's your question.
That's one,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, yes, definitely. You can look at different cultures, you know, especially Catholic cultures, because we honor the Pope, he prays, the priest prays, we don't pray, we don't read the Bible because that's the Pope or the Bishop or the whatever. And I was raised Presbyterian, so we did the doxologies at the end. We had a 3-point sermon. We sang the first and third stanzas. We never had salvation calls. Heaven knows that the baptism of the Holy Spirit stopped when the disciples died. So you weren't going to get into the power of the baptism of the Holy Spirit. So then you've got your white culture that wants the high church and, you know, let's do everything dignified and in order, and, you know, we'll go spend oh my gosh, you're over an hour, let's get out of here. Why are you preaching still? And they'll start pointing at the watch. Every culture has its positives and its negatives. And so angels over churches, over cultures, over households, over cities, over states, we have to inventory. And so if they've been captured, those denominations die. You know, those cultures get locked into poverty or lack or never break into their destiny. Asians are great at prayer and intercession, but if they're captured, then they're communist and want to take over the world and remove God. So we have to find where the positives in the cultures, where the negatives, and God loose the angels over them and teach that culture how to war for their benefits, their blessings. So that we have to have every culture working at its maximum, because there's only one body.
Amen.
Yeah.
So all of us hath a part. We bring our strengths to the table, and we repent and get healed of our weaknesses. Because Christ wants to put his head on a bride, and so he's resurrecting this body. And so all the weak parts in us, culturally or traditionally or church-wise beliefs, have to be dealt with so that we come as that mature bride. Yeah.
My other is, we have a kitty cat named Peaches. And people laugh, and Peaches is the intercessor. And so, anyway, I learned in 2014 that she could see angels. And I can always tell, like, when it's like a portal that's open. Now, if I'm praying, then I know that she's watching them come in, they're listening to me as I pray, and then they're being dispatched with the answers of wherever they need to go. But there are times when I'm not praying, and I know that the portal is open and they're coming in, and I was wondering if there's something I should be doing even if I'm not praying when I'm observing her. And she loves bling too, so I have to make sure there's nothing shiny or anything, that there's nothing else that's distracting her, that there's actually angels that she's seeing. So I was wondering if there's something else that we should be doing when this is happening.
Always be mindful of your atmosphere.
Yes.
Dogs and cats and birds, they're all sensitive to the anointing. You know, you think Balaam's donkey saw the angel with his sword drawn trying to kill Balaam before Balaam saw it, who was a seer.
Yeah.
So animals are sensitive. Balaam's beating the poor donkey. Now he's got to talk to him. Hey, bud, why are you beating me? Am I not your own donkey? Have I always just ridden you safely? And don't you see the angel trying to kill you? So, he had to pay attention to what the donkey did and say, So I would say yes, if you notice that the cat's going, hey, 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 they're here, more than normal. I would say, okay, whatever I was doing, I would go into prayer, go into intercession, set the atmosphere with worship, and welcome them. And they might have been coming because they have a message for you, or they need you to send them out to do something. So I would ask, which is it? You know, God, are they coming for me? But I would focus in so that I would be mindful of that, because not everybody has that. Or you know, my little bird will rotate her head if she likes music. If it's anointed, head's down and she's rubbing it on the ground. If it's regular rock and roll, she's bopping. So I know if it's anointed, she's worshiping. All of creation, you know, wants to worship God. So you know, it's terrible if we have a donkey leading us, or a bird, or a cat, or Hallie sees angels, my Rottweiler. And so, like you said, though, she's mindful of, was it a reflection of water when I'm doing dishes? Because she's seeing something, but it's not an angel. You know, so I remove everything, and then I go from there. I'm like, Hallie, that's just a reflection off the water. You know, but if it's an angel,
just my shoes.
yeah,